Alright, welcome to another video, and before we get started, I'd like to take a quick minute to thank all the Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members whose names you see scrolling across the screen right now. They make this financially possible, and without you, I probably wouldn't be here making videos, so thank you. Alright, so are y'all ready for what should be a pretty interesting flight, at least with some nice scenery? As you can see, we have a nice sunset out here. We've just had some pretty massive thunderstorms move through the area. As you can see out here on the horizon, there's one still relatively big one still out here. I wasn't planning on flying at all today, but after all these storms rolled through, the winds calmed down and everything, everything's still wet out here, but everything looked good for a flight. And so I decided to kind of go for it. So I actually came out to the shop to check on a print that I have going on my 3D printer, as the lights were kind of flickering as these storms were coming through, and I just wanted to come make sure it didn't reset the printer. So if you hear that in the background, I apologize. It is still running, but thankfully it hadn't reset itself or anything like that. So yeah, we're just going to kind of cruise out here and take in the scenery, check out the storms, and as long as the wind doesn't pick up, I don't think we're going to get any rain. I do have my radar up showing, and there's no more rain out in this direction. It's only over there where you can see it's actually a massive amount of rain falling out there, but that is probably 4 or 5 miles away. It's on the other side of the river, so we should be totally fine. We're not going to fly out that far anyway. But as long as nothing else decides to pop up and start building in the area, we should be fine. Like I said, I do have my radar app looking at that. And as long as we stay down pretty close to ground level and we don't get too high up into any of that nasty looking cloud front and all that, I don't think we'll have any winds building either. So we're just gonna kind of cruise around a little bit and take in the scenery, like I said. It's a pretty unplanned flight, but pretty interesting nonetheless. Speaking of interesting, I noticed my satellite count is sitting at like 12 satellites, which is fine. My HCOP is plenty low enough. But with this particular plane and the GPS that's in here is the little Walksnail M10 GPS. I think they're the WS181 or something like that. I could be wrong on that port number, but it's the Walksnail branded GPS. I typically see over 20 satellites, often 24, 25, like double what I'm seeing right now. And I'm guessing it's probably because of all that cloud cover and the humidity in the air and everything. Which, speaking of humidity in the air, I see we're already sitting at like 13 megabits per second on the bit rate for the video. And my Crossfire is sitting at 100%, but I am sitting at 500 milliwatts also. And I see it is dropping into the 98, 99 range a little bit, like it's going to drop in a few packets here and there. So yeah, the humidity, whoa, you seen that lightning? That was pretty neat. I'm glad I caught that on the screen. I hope I caught that on the screen. I saw it on my monitor that I'm flying. So theoretically, my recording should have it as well. But yeah, the humidity is a factor. It's affecting my signals. That's what I was kind of alluding to there before I got distracted by the lightning. So yeah, this is pretty fun, checking out this stuff from the air like that. Whoa, some more nice lightning. Pretty neat. If you can't tell, I'm enjoying myself right now. Pretty fun. So I think we're going to turn around right up here at this tree line at the 2 mile mark, and we're going to fly back. And we'll be able to take in some of that scenery that way. And then we're going to be flying back this direction again, so that we can watch that lightning show. And it is moving south, which right now I'm flying west. So it's moving to that direction. Like it's going to keep moving out off our left wingtip right now, which makes it easier for me to see because I can actually fly out that direction. My antennas are actually kind of facing out toward that open field right out there off the left wingtip. But yeah, we've got the big battery. I'm using the Molicel 4500 milliamp hour battery from the last video. And this is the V2 with a pro camera for the Walksnail system. So we should be able to fly once the light gets low, which it actually is pretty low. It's a lot lower than it looks in the camera right now. The light is pretty low. Now the sun I don't think is actually set. So it's probably going to make for a nice looking sunset once it gets below that cloud front and lights up the bottom of those clouds. I imagine that's going to be pretty spectacular. But we should have enough battery on board the airplane to wait it out and find out. So yeah, like I said, it was really an unplanned flight. Just kind of jumped at the opportunity, and I'm kind of glad the way it all worked out. And I happen to have that battery charged because I had charged it up this morning after yesterday's flight, which was in my last video. I wanted to double check that what I had actually used and what the charger put back kind of agreed, since it's a new battery, and I just kind of double checking the current sensor calibration and all that over longer flights that I can do now. So it just gave me an opportunity to calibrate it a little better if needed, but it was pretty well spot on. It was within 100 milliamp hours, and it was reading slightly high. It was actually less. It was less than 100. It was within about 50 milliamp hours. Between what the OSD showed and what the charger put back in. And the OSD actually read a little bit high, which is what I always prefer to set them up. You're never going to get them exactly perfect, so I'll always err on the side reading a little bit high. Kind of saw a little bit of flashing back there in the clouds. Like some lightning going on within the core of that storm. Kind of looking at my radar again. Yeah, it's still got a ways to go before it leaves the area. But yeah, like I said, my OSD, if I remember right, at the end of the flight, by the time I unplugged the airplane, it was showing like 42 something that I had used, and my charger put back like 4180 something, or maybe 4170 something. I'm not exactly sure, but I think if I remember right, it was less than 50 milliamp hours difference in the two. I'm kind of noticing all that that fog building above the trees out there too. Right down on top of the trees. And like I said, that's due to all the humidity that's lingering after those storms. See a vehicle across the bayou there on the highway. As we circle overhead to take a look back into the darker areas. And maybe we'll catch some more of that lightning if we don't get too distracted looking at vehicles over there. But yeah, let's try to see if we can catch some more of that lightning. We'll fly looking at the storm this way. But yeah, like I said, that's why I had my battery charged. Any other time, I would have just left it until I was either going to fly again, or if it was going to be too long, I would have put a store charge in it and just left it at that. But like I said, everything really just kind of worked out. Like the forecast and everything was forecasting like high winds today besides the storms. And in these storms, they were predicting like one warning we got said it was like 40 mile an hour winds and I think quarter-sized hail. Then another storm warning that popped up later said there was 60 mile an hour wind gust up to 80 possible and inch and a half hail. But luckily we didn't get any of that here. We never got any high winds, or we never saw any hail, just some heavy rain and thunder and lightning and a little bit of wind, while the rain was actually blowing through, but it calmed right down as soon as the rain passed, and it really wasn't much more than a thunderstorm, really. Not even a bad one at that. I mean, it dumped a lot of rain, but not for long. And then a lot of light rain after that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to end this flight with a nice sunset, depending on how long it's actually going to take the sun to set. Like I said, I don't think the sun is set behind the horizon. I'm actually going to look on the weather forecast really quick and see. So it'll give me an actual time that the sun sets. And I hadn't seen any more of that lightning. Not like those nice big bolts of lightning we caught at the beginning of the flight. That was pretty neat. Let me see. The actual sunset time today is, they're saying 8:09 p.m. and it is 8:16 p.m. So I guess it has set. Sunset's 8:09 and last light is at 8:36. So we may have actually missed, I was hoping to see there that nice spectacular sunset shining below the clouds. And honestly, it might just be too cloudy in that direction for it to have happened anyway. it might have just kind of what we're seeing right now is about the best of it. But yeah, nonetheless, it's a pretty enjoyable flight, regardless. And I would have liked to see a lot of that fog build out here over these woods, and we could have kind of flew down through some of it, like it is out in that direction, out towards the horizon out there. And again, that might just be, well, no, I do kind of see clouds out behind it. I was going to say that might just be some clouds that kind of looks like fog from where we're looking, but no, it's down below the trees. You can see trees on the horizon behind the fog, little bank of fog out there. So yeah, it's probably going to end up being a pretty short flight because it is getting pretty dark. Obviously, when we look away from the sunset, though, we can still see plenty good. So yeah, I guess unless we start seeing some more of that nice lightning to watch, we'll probably go ahead and cut it here shortly. I'm thinking maybe one more lap home and then one more lap back out here to our little 2-mile turnaround. It keeps us away from the storm, pretty far away from it. Because what I'm looking on the map, that 2-mile turnaround is about between 1/3 and 1/2 of the way from where I took off to where the actual rain is on the radar. So I'm guessing, like I said, it's probably 4 or 5 miles out there, which is what I was kind of guessing before, and that kind of adds up. So we don't really want to get any closer than that in case we do get some little downburst or some outflow or something like that where the wind picks up like crazy. So I've actually been in the air before in a situation like that where there was thunderstorms nearby. I was flying an old FPV glider, in fact. I don't remember the name of it. It was a 2-meter, I think, 1800 millimeter maybe, wingspan, an old glider. I forgot what it was called though. I forget the name of it right now. It was like way back in the early days of FPV though, and I was out flying it, and the wind picked up like that, like crazy, and I was lucky to get it home. Luckily, the wind was pushing it home, or I would have never made it back. I actually do see some fog kind of building out there now, over the trees. But yeah, when that wind picked up while I was flying that glider, it kind of pushed me back home, and that glider normally flew like around 20-25 miles an hour airspeed tops. And I was topping like 60-70 miles an hour ground speed with the wind behind it, pushing it home. And when I got it close to home, I kind of looped back around into the wind, and it was actually pushing me backwards. And I just kind of cut the power and pushed the nose down and ditched it in the field behind the house just to kind of reduce chance of damaging it. And luckily, when I put it down in the field, it was soybeans planted, kind of like these fields are right now that we're flying over. And when I put it down in that field, it kind of shielded it from the wind. It kind of just nested itself out there in the soft field, and the wind didn't flip it over or anything. And I went and retrieved it with no damage whatsoever. And like I said, that was probably 15 years ago, if I had to guess, 14, 15 years ago. So it was one of the first FPV planes actually built within the first couple of years when I started flying FPV. And I don't think I have any video. I don't even know if I was recording that, because that was back when I was actually recording all of my video back then on an old mini DV camera. There's some more lightning out there. It was kind of a big flash toward the ground, then I saw the bolt of it in the sky. I just saw another one right above the rudder there. But yeah, we're actually flying too far behind the antennas now. All the way by the neighbor's house. Yeah, you can kind of see those lights down there in the neighbor's yard, how low the light actually is out here. So like I said, this the Pro camera, the V2 Pro camera, is pretty deceiving. It's actually easy to forget how dark it actually is, which is, I mean, it's not a problem as long as obviously there's no aircraft in the area with this weather and all that. And if there were, there are lights on the airplane is visible. But as long as they can see me, then I don't think we've posed a safety threat for anyone. And as long as I can see how to fly and land, then my airplane isn't in danger either. You can see all that fog out there over the trees. It's actually creeping in this way. So I'm kind of hoping that's not some more wind or something out there, like a wind front. Whoa, more bright lightning. And I noticed the airplane is getting bumped around a little bit, but not bad. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on what the autopilot is estimating for my wind speed, and also what the plane is doing as far as tracking on the ground. There's no headwind or tailwind, which you would see in a difference between your ground speed and your airspeed. And even if the OSD hasn't picked up on it and calculated that yet, you would still be able to see the ground speed changing relative to amp draw, which we're cruising at about 50% throttle in cruise mode anyway. And we usually sit around 35 to 37, which is right where we're at right now. But if it was a crosswind, you'd see the airplane, because we're in cruise mode holding a heading, you would see the airplane actually start crabbing into it or away from it. But I'm just, whoa, some more lightning out there. But yeah, I'm just kind of keeping an eye out on all the weather and everything, and also the vehicle on the roadway down below us. Right there. And you can see their light shining. Like I said, it just kind of gives you a better feel for how dark it really is. But yeah, there's no point in waiting out the sunset because we've already missed it. And I just saw a lightning flash, so I imagine that was some more lightning behind us. And I'm still keeping an eye on the radar, making sure there's no storms approaching, which it is still moving southeast, mostly south, a little bit east, moving further away from us out that direction. So we're still pretty safe there. But and most of the lightning is within the core behind those clouds like that. So we're not seeing as many of those direct flashes that we were earlier. And you see the front, there was a bolt kind of came through the bottom there, you kind of see it. But you can kind of see the front of that storm is actually a lot less defined than it was when we first took off. So it's probably weakening, although the radar doesn't show it. It still looks pretty strong on the front. Maybe we're just kind of looking into it from the backside now. And actually the last radar update did show some rain right out here, right north of me, like it's starting to build here. I'm looking at it right now. The last radar update was at 8:15 and it is currently 8:24, so that was actually 10 minutes ago. It's starting to build a couple of miles right out there to the north of us. So we're probably going to go ahead and end the flight now. We're going to cut our losses, well, or take our win basically, so I wouldn't consider this a loss by any means. This was actually a pretty fun flight. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and quit while we're ahead. It's a good way to phrase it. I'm going to go to fly-by-wire and cut the power and let the airplane sink while I start setting up on my landing, and go ahead and close out the video. And thank you for watching it. Hopefully if you found it as exciting as I did. It ended up being an 18-minute flight there, which was totally unexpected, but well worth it. I'm glad it all worked out the way it did. And I'm actually showing a tailwind right now, but I'm going to go ahead and land with a tailwind anyway. It's not that much of a tailwind. Just kind of extend my glide a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and cut power now and start my flare, because we have the tailwind and we still cut it short enough to make it by the shop. So that's going to be the end of the flight. I'm going to go ahead and pick up my gear before that rain gets here and call it a win. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Keep an eye out for what's to come. Hopefully we have more interesting flights like this in the future. It's been pretty fun. Disarmed. So we'll go ahead and get disarmed and end the recording. And thank you for watching it once again, and I'll see you all in the next one.